Before I begin this story, I want to say something important. If you enjoy real-life emotional stories, stories that explore love, silence, marriage, and the hidden truths people are afraid to talk about, then please take a moment to subscribe to my channel. Your support helps these stories reach more people who might need to hear them. Now, let me tell you a story that changed the way I understand love forever. My name is Emma Carter, and when this story began, I was 33 years old. From the outside, my life looked calm, stable, respectable. I lived in a small town in Michigan, one of those places where everyone waves, where nothing dramatic ever seems to happen, and where routines quietly replace dreams without anyone noticing. I worked as a school counselor at the local middle school. Every day, I listened to children talk about their fears, their confusion, their struggles to feel seen. Ironically, I was very good at helping others name emotions I had buried deep inside myself. I had been married for 9 years to my husband, Ben Carter. Ben worked in IT and did most of his job from home. He was kind, thoughtful, dependable, the kind of man people describe as a good husband. And he was. But there's a difference between being good and being connected. Ben was quiet. Not cold. Not cruel. Just quiet. At first, I thought that was maturity. Then I thought it was comfort. Eventually, I realized it was something else entirely. We didn't argue. People think that's a blessing. I used to think so too. But what they don't tell you is this. Sometimes the absence of conflict doesn't mean peace. Sometimes it means emotional distance so wide that no one even bothers to fight anymore. Our days followed the same pattern. We woke up at the same time, drank coffee in silence, shared quick updates about work. At night, we ate dinner together, usually something easy. We watched a show. We commented on the plot. We laughed at the same jokes. Then we went to bed. Side by side, facing opposite directions. No worms. No touch. No intimacy. Just routine. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. And slowly, something inside me began to feel hollow. I didn't hate Ben. I didn't want to leave him. But I miss feeling alive. I miss being looked at like I mattered. I miss conversations that didn't feel scripted. I miss the version of myself that laughed louder and dreamed bigger. And the most terrifying part? I didn't know when I lost her. Ben noticed the distance. I could see it in the way he hesitated before speaking. In the way he sometimes watched me, like he wanted to ask something but didn't know how. But he rarely said anything directly. And neither did I. We both told ourselves the same lie. This is just what long marriages become. Love becomes companionship. Passion fades. This is normal. But normal doesn't always mean healthy. One evening, I had just finished folding laundry. I remember it clearly because it felt so ordinary. Nothing about that moment hinted that my entire understanding of marriage was about to change. Ben sat down beside me on the couch. Not casually. Not distracted. There was a seriousness in his eyes I hadn't seen in years. It made my stomach tighten. "Emma," he said quietly. I looked up. "Yes." He took a deep breath. "I've been thinking." That alone was enough to make my heart race. "About what?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he stared at the floor, then finally looked straight at me. "About us." The silence that followed was heavy. "I know you're not happy," he continued. "I know I haven't been able to connect with you the way I used to." I didn't interrupt him. I couldn't. It was the most honest thing he'd said in years. After a long moment, I finally spoke. "You're right," I said softly. "It's not working, and I don't know how to fix it." What he said next felt like both a punch and a strange relief. "I want to try something," Ben said. "Something different." I narrowed my eyes. "Different how?" He hesitated. I could see embarrassment written all over his face. "I've been reading," he said slowly, "about couples who try unconventional ways to understand each other again." My heart started pounding. "Ben," I said carefully, "are you saying what I think you're saying?" He looked down. "I want you to meet someone," he said. "Just once. Someone I choose." I stared at him. "I'll be there," he added quickly. "Not in a strange way. I want to understand what you need. What I can't give you right now. I laughed. Then I cried. It sounded insane, painful, almost cruel. And yet, something inside me was curious. And that terrified me more than anything else. The week after Ben told me his idea felt unreal. We didn't talk about it much. Not because it wasn't important, but because it was too important. Every day, the thought followed me like a shadow. At work, while listening to students talk about their fears, I wondered when adults stopped allowing themselves to feel honestly. At home, while Ben typed away on his laptop, I studied his face, trying to understand how a man could love me enough to suggest something so terrifying. I asked myself 1,000 questions. Was this his way of giving up? Was he testing me? Was I already betraying him just by considering it? And yet beneath the fear, there was something else. Hope. A dangerous, quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, this strange idea might break the silence we were trapped in. A week later, Ben didn't forget. One evening, he handed me a small slip of paper. My hands trembled as I took it. A name. A time. His name is Ryan, Ben said calmly. I've spoken with him. He understands the boundaries. He knows this isn't about anything physical. I didn't know whether to scream or walk away. But instead, I folded the paper and put it in my pocket. Because something inside me, built from years of emotional neglect, quiet resentment, and unspoken loneliness, wanted answers. The night of the meeting arrived faster than I expected. The Airbnb was modest, clean, neutral. Nothing about it felt romantic or dangerous. Ryan arrived first. He was tall, composed, probably in his late 30s. Not intimidating. Not charming in an obvious way. Just calm. He smiled politely when he saw me. Emma, he said gently. Ben sat quietly in the corner, holding a glass of water like it was an anchor. I had never seen him so nervous. There were no dramatic moments. No tensión. Just 3 people sitting in a room, trying to navigate something none of us had been taught how to handle. Ryan didn't flirt. He didn't compliment me. He asked questions. How have you been feeling lately? When was the last time you felt truly yourself? What do you miss about who you used to be? No one had asked me those things in years. And suddenly, words poured out of me. I spoke about feeling invisible. About being strong for everyone else while quietly falling apart. About missing the woman who used to dream without fear. I cried when Ryan asked me what I loved about my younger self. I laughed when he admitted how awkward adulthood can be. And in the calmest, safest way imaginable. I felt seen. Not desired. Not pursued. Seen. At one point, without drama or intent, Ryan reached out and held my hand. That was all. But something inside me shattered. Not because it crossed a boundary, but because it reminded me how starved I had been for human connection. I glanced at Ben. He saw everything. And instead of anger, there was understanding in his eyes. A slow, painful realization. This wasn't about betrayal. It was about release. We didn't speak much on the drive home. The silence felt different now. Heavier, but also honest. When we got inside the house, Ben finally turned to me. Thank you, he said quietly. For trusting me. For trusting us. His voice cracked. I didn't realize how much pain you were carrying. I nodded. I didn't either. Over the next few weeks, something shifted between us. Not because of Ryan, but because the silence was finally broken. We talked. Really talked. But the truth is, the night I spent with the man my husband chose wasn't about infidelity. It was about rediscovering humanity, honesty, and trust. Sometimes love doesn't look like it does in the movies. Sometimes it's complicated, painful, uncomfortable. But that doesn't make it any less real. And if you're wondering, yes, Ben and I are still together, stronger than ever, because we finally stopped pretending and started being honest, even when it hurt. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. You never know who needs to hear it. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do in love is tell the truth.